Okay, I am going to get started here. Let me pin. All right. Well, hi, everybody.
Okay.
Whoa, hang on. Let me hide my other windows. Well, hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, we're happy for you to be here. My name is Andy Moore. I am the executive director of People Not Politicians. And today we're going to do a somewhat brief overview of how to use Dave's Redistricting app, which is a free tool, free web-based tool to draw maps. Right? Ideally, today we're going to be focusing on the Oklahoma congressional map because that's the one map we have the option to submit to the state legislature right now. And in fact, I just submitted our map last night. I emailed it to them last night. And so we'll start with that. And I'm going to use that as kind of a tool to show you how to use the software, navigate around that. I am by no means an expert. There are plenty of folks out there who know more than I do. I have learned almost everything from watching the tutorials that Dave's puts out, which are great since they're the ones that made the software, and also just poking around on it myself. I find that that's one of the best ways that I learn is just by using it. So we'll give it a go. And then if we have any questions along the way, for anyone who is joined right now or is joining later, please feel free to put them in the chat. Again, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can leave comments on the video as well. And once this is all done, I'll go back in and check those and try to respond to you. I'm sorry I can't do it all live. It's really just me in this tiny room with my plants. And so we'll do the best we can. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to look at Dave's Redistricting app, right? So the website is davesredistricting.org. We'll start at the very beginning. When you go to the site, each time it's somewhat different. It's not always green, so you may have different colors. And it's a pretty bare bones, like straightforward website. It already has me logged in. You can create an account to save your maps. That process is pretty self-explanatory, but we can start. This map apparently says how many maps have been published by each state. I think if you refresh this, this is why it changes. So each time you log in, it may look different. This one might say, which states are being drawn by independent commissions or by Republican-controlled legislatures or democratically controlled legislatures or split. So look at that. Dave's right away is giving us information that is somewhat interesting and useful. Okay, so we're going to click on Oklahoma, and it'll open here with kind of get you started, right? So it gives you our current maps for the congressional map, state Senate, state House. And when it says current, that means these are the ones that were drawn 10 years ago in 2011 and that are in effect in which we live right now. As a reminder, the whole purpose of this is that new maps will be drawn and adopted in the next few months. It will be in effect beginning next year. So at that point, these will change. So they have current maps. You can click straight to those, and that's a good place to start, right? We may even do that a little bit. And then some additional resources for redistricting. You can see down here the House and Senate redistricting websites, and then some links to other resources. The Brennan Center for Justice, they're great experts on the topic of redistricting. The Princeton Gerrymandering Project, and some stuff about our page there. I've been working closely with them for a couple of years. And there's other stuff, right? Census data, Ballotpedia, all of that. And then notable maps. And so this, if you click these at the top, you can see it just hops you down here. So there we go. The notable maps, I think, is really interesting. And so you can see it has the 2010 and 2020, which would be the census data there. And so these are the older maps. And so if you want to look at how, 5 different ways they could have drawn the maps that we live in right now, and you can choose congressional, state Senate, or state House. And basically each decade, some of the folks, Dave's volunteers, or whomever, will draw them prioritizing different things, right? So you can see most proportional, meaning how proportional the districts are in a few different domains. We can get into that in a minute. Most competitive, right? So like if you were going to draw the most competitive map you could, it looks absolutely nuts, right? Obviously, whatever district is in green really has to be, essentially you have to gerrymander it, right? In a way to maximize this particular variable. Best minority representation looks really similar this to proportional. I bet that's the same map achieves both. Most compact and least splitting, which is usually least splitting of counties or of precincts, and I think it's usually counties. So so there's those things. So again, that's all from 2010. For 2020, they already have some out here, and this isn't like, I don't even know if Dave's has any staff. It's a volunteer-led thing, and so every map that is submitted and published is scored automatically using these kind of 5 domains, and so whoever has the best in a particular domain shows up. So again, here's some we already see for how we could possibly draw Oklahoma's congressional map right now. And so that's really interesting because, and I will say this probably 16 times during this thing, the state legislature has had the data just as long as everybody else, maybe even a day or two longer, and they have not released any maps yet. I looked this morning on here and there's nearly 20 that people have drawn and submitted or published, right, including ours. And so the fact that we are out here able to and willing to publish maps, receive comments, like tweak them, go from there. And the legislature has not released anything yet and has allegedly not going to until November. This is ridiculous for a myriad of reasons, but I hope that everyone will take the opportunity to, draw your 5 districts and submit your map for consideration so that we can demonstrate again to the legislature that a lot of people are interested in this and willing to put in a little bit of work, right? I don't think it's unreasonable to expect our legislature to share the map they've been drawing in secret for the last 6 weeks and allow the public to comment on it. They've said they're going to do that, but they're going to wait until November, and that's just ridiculous. Okay, so these are the most in these ways, but we're going to let's just start at the beginning, and I'll walk you through how to use it and then how to draw it. And so as a starting point, we'll start here with the current map, right? You could do it where you start with a totally blank map, but it's kind of a lot of work to do that. It's in some ways you think about, I like to try to step into the shoes of the people that are drawing the map at the legislature, and they, in many cases, would also be starting from the same point, right? They take the maps we have. And I believe that there is an expectation from the public. I believe this because I've heard it from people, right? That we try not to have drastic changes to what the maps look like decade to decade, right? So when possible, try to keep it somewhat consistent. If you look back through the last, 30, 40, 50 years of Oklahoma's maps, there's been some pretty significant changes. And some of that is because of population shifts, right? That it's changed around a lot. And then there was the decade that we lost a congressional seat, and that threw everything kind of in disarray, right? You had to take a bunch of space then. This year, we don't gain any seats. We don't lose any seats. It's still 5 seats. And there's been certainly changes in population, but it's maybe not as drastic as it had been in previous decades. So this is the map as it is right now. And I think all of the settings I have on are the default settings. And so it automatically colors all of the districts their own color. That's over here on the left side. You can choose on or off. You could choose partisan lean, which I don't ever use that. For one, in Oklahoma on the congressional level, it's not that useful. And also, more importantly, the legislature is not considering partisan data, allegedly. I apologize. My neighbor has chosen this very moment to begin using a skill saw out there. And so that's just going to be there for the next hour, I'm sure. Hopefully not constantly. He's building a pergola. All right. You can also color like only current. So whatever up on the top left is the district you have selected, and it would color that district one at a time. I like having them all on because it helps me see what's what. All of the little purple squiggly lines, that is all of the precincts, right? And so everything is really drawn based on precinct. You can change it to, you can turn on county lines, you can turn on city boundaries. There's a lot of those, that's messy. And then even down to the, I think the census block and block group. So if we zoom in here, let's see if it lets us do it that way. Maybe not. Okay. Precinct is honestly good enough. The down here on the bottom left, you can also do some of those things. So you can turn on the district lines, which you can kind of see right here. This draws the shape of the district itself. In Oklahoma, many of our congressional districts largely follow the county boundaries. So if you turn on county lines, you can see like it kind of helps. If I turn on and off the district lines, it's really just a couple of little areas that shifts that. Again, city lines, that's a mess. And you can also add on labels, right? So you can add on labels for the districts. Look, there's 3rd district, 4th district. You can add on county labels, which I think can be handy. We'll leave that on for right now, just for the sake of discussing it. You can add custom overlays. I don't deal with that. You can add the partisan lean of precincts. Again, we're not using political data. And then on the district details up here, for whichever district you have selected in the selector, it'll give you all the information about it. So the total population, voting age population, citizen voting age population 2019, the partisan lean, all that stuff there. And then importantly, and then unassigned, this map, everyone has been assigned, so that's easy. And then if you click this lock button right here, it would let you lock or unlock this map. Now, the way, I don't remember who drew this map, but the way that it shows up, I can't change the lock right now, and that's because it's set to view only. So this map is basically owned by somebody else. They published it, and then it's a view only. You can't go edit their map, but you can make an editable copy of the map. So we'll do that. Say yes. And it'll show up. This is my list of other maps I have. And there it is. It takes just a second because it's got to, pop up. So a copy of 2020, I'm going to rename it demonstration map of what it is. And then you just double click on it to open it. And it takes a second to pop it back up. The congressional maps do open relatively quickly because it's only 5 districts. The state house district takes a bit longer because there's 101 districts. There's a lot more data for the back end to process. All right, so once it's up here, on the right side, precinct details, you can almost, that's helpful as we go along, but as you move your cursor around, it gives you in real time the number of people, all that stuff on the map. So that's a helpful tool. All right, so the issue we have, it has the populations right here on the left side. And this is basically the 2020 census data with the 2010 or 2011 map laid over it, which means that the district sizes, the populations are not going to be equal because these districts were drawn for the population in the 2010 census. And the whole point of redistricting is to redraw the maps to reflect the population from the 2020 census. So you can see District 1 is over by 36,000 people. District 2 is under by nearly 70,000 people. 3 and 4 are, 4 is over, 3 is under, but only one person different, right? So they are, you could essentially take, if you could find 6,681 people from District 4 and move them into District 3, those two are done. And that's a super easy fix. That's incredible. And then District 5 is over by 32, 33,000 people. Now, this gets us to that new ideal number, right? The ideal number is the total population of the state divided by the number of districts. And the total population is 3.959 million people. And we've got to divide that by 5, and that gets us down to 828,677 people per district. No, that's not quite right. That's how many are in District 1 right now. You can do the math. Anyway, you don't even have to. The software let us do it. So there's a few things to know as we get into drawing. There's some tools. You can find split precincts and combine them. That's hopefully nothing split right now. You can also adjust your brush size and then there's a eraser tool. So you can really kind of dive in and start wherever you want to. I'm going to start for today with, I think, districts 3 and 4, because they are so close. And like, we'll kind of zoom in and see if there's a way for us to equalize them. There's, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot to consider when you are drawing a map. You got to think about not just what makes sense, but also like how can I best reflect the will of the people, right? How can I best represent the people of Oklahoma? How can I draw them into maps, assign them to a map, right? Assign them to a congressional district in a way that reflects communities, that doesn't unnecessarily divide groups, and that kind of keeps things whole. One thing that we heard several times during the town hall meetings that the legislature held is that people want to keep Tinker Air Force Base in Congressional District 4. So Tinker Air Force Base is in Oklahoma County. In fact, if you turn on the background map, you can see it. Zoom in right there. So it's here. And these, again, purple lines are precincts. So that means, at a minimum, I think Douglas is kind of the eastern side, but this precinct and this precinct for sure. And I think these 3 here also need to be in there. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to lock all the districts right now, and we'll just unlock one at a time, so that well, maybe I'll unlock all 5. That's not so bad. All right. And so I'm going to pick District 4. You want to pick the one that you're going to paint with. So essentially, I'm going to paint some of these red, right? So I'm going to pick these and make sure these are red. And then so that bumped this up. So now District 4 has a lot more people that I need to lose. And since earlier we talked about how District 3 needs to add some, I like to keep counties whole. There's a lot of stuff that happens at the county level, and I think people, when possible, it makes sense to keep it together. For example, Canadian County, all of Mustang was located down here in CD4 for the last 10 years. But as Mustang and Yukon have grown together, I think it makes a lot of sense to keep those districts together. So again, I'll pick purple now, and we'll kind of move Mustang and those into that district. All right, well, now you can see we got the red district down, but now the purple district is a little too high. So now we've got to find a way to help balance that out. Also, the 5th district's got to lose some people. And, there's a couple of things to think about here is, okay, well, and also, man, 2nd district's got to pick up 70,000 people. Well, if you zoom out and you look at the map, so all the green area needs to add more people. That means it's got to take it from one of the other 4 districts. We know the blue district's got to lose some people. Purple district right now is going to lose some people, and the yellow district is going to lose, and the red does too. So everyone's got a little bit to give. But I think because this little peninsula of the 4th district sticks up so high into Oklahoma County, it just seems like a little silly. And maybe that's because they were trying to pull in more people related to Tinker. I don't really know, but these areas in rural Potawatomi and Seminole County are also, I think, an area that we could look at because there's not as many people, right? And this is where it's important to look at individual precincts and because the population varies widely, right? Each precinct does not have the same number of people. For example, I'm over here in, let's see, Seminole County in precinct 670035. I'm looking at the precinct details here. So population of this whole precinct is 1,079 people. The next precinct is 1,700 people. So we go down like into Seminole, 2,400 people. Let's go into Shawnee, 3,000, 4,000. But if you go up here, some of these precincts, right? 1,500, 2,800, 3,600, 4,000. So you kind of get 7,000 or 7,600. That's a very populous, that's Tinker right there. That's why that precinct is such a big change when we added it a minute ago. So you think, okay, well, some of this has to do about shape, but some of this has to do about population as well. So we know the green area needs to pick up 70,000 people, which is quite a few. And just from, looking at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's, 12-ish precincts in Seminole County. What if we just add all of Seminole County into the 2nd district? All right, so what does that get us? Well, that added about 30,000 people, which wasn't that many, really, right? You got to add a lot more to give them some population. But also, we're getting here close, where I noticed that the 1st district and 2nd district are closer on population. And also now the 5th district needs to pick up some people. Let's see here. I know where I'm headed with this because I drew on another map last night, but so let's think. So as I kind of click around, I'm just going to say there's obviously a give and take about how districts are drawn, right? Like you can drag and paint if you want to. It's kind of fun. All right, so now, when you're drawing, you've got to, it's constantly give and take. So you add a precinct, you lower a precinct, and I'm trying to narrow it down so that it's not such huge swings, right? Because it gets a little tedious. So like right now, I've got the 5th district down here where it's, Oklahoma County and Potawatomi County. And now here's a question is, what if we just included all of Oklahoma County in the 5th district, and we'll put all of Pot County in the 2nd district. Okay. Well, look at that. Okay, so if you have just Oklahoma County, which is a wonderful little rectangle, Oklahoma County alone, you get within 4,500 people of that ideal number. And it just means you have to shed just a couple of precincts, honestly. And now, the 4th district here needs 82,000 people. Well, if I remember, this is going to be kind of that give and take, right? So we need to get rid of 4,000 from here. And let's see, this one has 7,600. Well, that's more than we need to shed, but that would move Tinker down into this. How many is here? 3,900, right? So you could, in theory, 5,900, 31. So you can get pretty close, but not exact, right? By just shifting, one precinct or two, like down 1,200. You can try to find like a little precinct that would work. Let me put that back. All right, since we've talked about adding Tinker to the 4th district, let's do that. Now that puts Oklahoma County a little over. You can dip down into more here, potentially. Wow, really close there. Okay. So now the 4th district still needs some more people. And we need to take some away from the 3rd district. Now, I know I've made some comments earlier about why is it that the legislature hasn't yet released this kind of, released their maps. And I suspect it's because well, they don't want to, right? The longer they wait, then the easier it is for the incumbents who know what district they live in to run for re-election, but it keeps the rest of us in the dark. And also, I mean, if I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, which I don't feel like I should, but if I was going to, I would say, that there's an argument to be made that that it can be difficult to do, some of this, right? Like you can, it takes time, it is a little tedious, but it's not 6 weeks of tediousness, right? This isn't even my full-time job, and I'm able to spend, some time during my lunch break here working on this. They've got people that it's their whole job. That's what they do. And so they could be working on it the whole time. All right. So now I was kind of just poking around here, and the 4th district still needs to add 80,000 people, which is a lot of people. I'm not thrilled with how I've done this here. So let's take this back. All right. So that means that the 5th district still needs to add a few folks. Let's add these back in. Now we just need 20,000. So this is 53. This is 46, 25. Well, this looks like almost 20,000. Oh, we need just 4,000 more. 42. There's only 19 people in this precinct. How funny is that? 19, 1,200. We were really close. Really close. That's 5,000, 17, 1. So just a little bit of a give and take here of how do we did that. It puts us 2,000 over. Change that. All right, we're gonna keep poking around here for about another 5 or 10 minutes, and let's move up to Tulsa while we've got a little bit of time left. And again, so looking at this, remember this is how the district looked before. Split Rogers County, split Creek County, kept Wagner County whole, kept Tulsa County, Washington County. Clearly, a couple of counties were split. I would like to split fewer counties. Now, the 1st district needs to lose some people. In this case, the green does also. So let's start by giving some to the purple district. All right, so now they're down there. And now the 5th district needs to, or excuse me, the 4th district still needs to add more people. Well, it might make sense then if we've got some of the we're gonna have to shuffle some people over there. And I normally have a printout next to me of all the counties with their county population, so I know like let's see, brush size. Oh, so you can change your brush size as well to be, a few. Bigger. Oh, you can do it county by county. And when you change it up here, it changes it over on the right side. So I can see Marshall County is only 15,000 people. And so I need to add it here. Johnson County is 10,000. So we can add those two. Bryan County is Shawnee 70,000. Huh. I wonder if we added Shawnee there. Oh no, now the blue county needs, or the green needs to pick up. Oh, a bunch of people, some from purple. Going to start with whole counties here. All right, so now the green still needs to pick up a few people. Let's see. Ooh, look at that. We got the first district down to within 100 people. According to the rules, you don't have to be exact, but it is nice to get as close as you can. 600. I don't, what are the odds we were going to find one precinct that only has 96 people? That would be pretty amazing. All right. Let's see here. Now, if we, so we need to give a bunch of, from purple to green would be a good way to move some of these folks over. And Pulp is a pretty populous area. We don't need that many, 1,200. But what if we did the whole county? 71 there, 33 there. Washington County, 50,000 there. What if we did that? Well, we're getting closer. So now it's pretty clear that we're not going to do it with whole counties. So now we need to pick up some. So we'll do right there outside of Bartlesville. Then we zoomed in here. We can add some of these. All right, that's really close. Now look how much closer we've gotten now. So the third district still has some that they need to shed, but we're getting closer all the time. The green is short some. Can we, how quickly can I do this? Can I do this in 5 minutes? That's the question. Red district's under, yellow district's under. Purple needs to give some. So if we were going to add So 5th district's almost perfect there. What was that? 3,300. That's pretty close. There we go. And now this is not so all right. So now the blue needs to lose 1,100. The red needs, 1,800. We have to pass through this, but all right, I'm going to stop now. I know that was probably a little bit boring. Well, fun times. All right, so that's how you do it. Let me hide some of these labels so you can see what it starts looking like, right? So did a little bit of work. Clearly this, this green area stretching into Ponca City is not ideal. This is not a map that I would submit myself because I'm not satisfied with it, but you can see how we've started kind of narrowing down. In some ways it's fun. In some ways I enjoy like just playing around with this. I'll start with delete all the districts and then start from scratch and just start painting counties, right? And see how close you could get. It makes a lot of sense to me to start with Oklahoma County and Tulsa County because those are the most populous, right? And kind of build out from there. But I've also tried to start out in the Panhandle and just move west to east. And the more you do this, I think you learn a lot about the state, right? You learn a lot about how precincts are drawn and how you got to follow those lines, and that there's some limitations there. Obviously Dave's does provide you with partisanship data, but Oklahoma's a Republican state. Trying to balance that and population would be a lot of work. And I think it also doesn't make sense, right? People are registered for whatever reasons, but there are a lot more people. If you look at, voting age population compared to total population, it's a big difference, right? So the Democratic or Republican leaningness of a district or of a precinct doesn't have necessarily anything to do with the majority of the population of that precinct, right? That is only they have it based on votes, not even based on like the number of people. Anyway, it's a fascinating process. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hope this is somewhat interesting. Again, even if you don't want to submit, but you just want to play around with it, I recommend you do it. It's kind of fun. I don't envy folks like our neighbors in Texas that have to draw like 38 districts. Like that's a lot, a lot of give and take between precincts to try to balance it out. I haven't yet played around with that. It is fun to go in and like draw maps for like Vermont or states that I've never been to, but to think about how different it is for them. Wyoming, Montana, some of those are pretty easy, but then like California, Florida, Texas, those are a whole different ballgame. So, all right, well, thank you so much for being here, and hope this has been helpful. And we will keep you updated on the process. If you have questions, send me an email, hit us up on social media. And please subscribe to our email list. I am in the process of writing an email blast to go out in the next few days.